man tar ett vassrör i en sjö, skär en liten snitt i det, en tunga eller en maskros och klämmer ihop skälken och blåser i det, så har man ett enkelt rörbladsinstrument utan att man har vetat att det skulle heta rörbladsinstrument. Maskrosskälken är då ett premusikaliskt ljudredskap, för du gör ljud för att det är roligt eller i något annat syfte. This is a piece of bone with notches, and we have several such finds from prehistoric periods all over Europe. I am a so-called music archaeologist. That is, I am both an archaeologist, prehistorian, and a musicologist, and primarily an ethnomusicologist. And that's a combination that we can call music archaeology. What were these notches used for? We don't know. Textile tool, tool in the kitchen, washing tool. Questions about sound of music were very, very rare. Which other instruments did exist in the long Stone Age? Was this a silent period, or what kind of sound tools did they use? No, I'm not an ornithologist. Maybe I do not produce the correct sound. It's a special bird. And so the bird came, easier to shoot it, to catch it, and in prehistory this was very important, to know how to imitate all animals and use sound tools to call them. So maybe such archaeological finds were also used by hunters. People needed good acoustic tools for signals. If you wanted in a Stone Age society to call the children far away, you could use a special whistle, so they, oh, it's time to go home. We don't know exactly when, but finally you created a lot of sound tools where you obviously, your intention was to perform music in what we mean our music. You put a lot of finger holes on the flutes. We don't know when.
Hohlefels is a very famous place with a very long history of research. Already in the 19th century there were excavations that took place, but the more serious phase of excavation started initially in the 50s and then in the 70s, 80s, and gradually we moved deeper and deeper into the sediments and have gone through all the sediments of modern humans, down into the sediments from the Neanderthals, and what we have are very good samples of the different kinds of material culture made by late Neanderthals and made by modern humans like ourselves during the development of the Upper Paleolithic. And the really famous finds here at Hohlefels are from the Aurignacian and date to about 40,000 years ago. This is also the time when modern humans first arrive in Europe and displace the Neanderthals.
In 2008 we had two important discoveries, and one was the find of the vulture bone flute. It came out at the base of the Aurignacian. That is the lowest layer we found in the Aurignacian so far, and we found it broken into 12 pieces. So it was not complete like this cast is. It was really fragmented into 12 pieces. The pieces were lying upside down, so you could not see the finger holes. We had to pick the pieces up, and then we could recognize that there were finger holes, and we immediately knew that must be part of a flute. And it is, at the end, it is the most complete flute that we have so far. So we have 4 complete finger holes. The 5th finger hole is broken, and that was very likely the last finger hole because the bone itself was not very much longer than the flute was.
There's a whole series of similar musical instruments, all flutes. Of course, you can use different terms to describe them. I personally call them flutes because they can be played like flutes, but of course you can play them in many ways. You can play them with reeds, you can play them without reeds, you can use different blowing techniques to play them, you can use the finger holes in a whole range of ways, you know, which is really beautiful.
The objects themselves store secrets that we can only probe by investigating the object. And here is a reproduction made by Jean-Luc Ringot from a griffon vulture bone. And the original, which is about 30,000 years old, found in Istritz cave in the Pyrenees, is almost complete. There's just a section broken at the bottom. So we can be almost uniquely secure that these hole positions represent something of the past. And this is not unique. There are many fragments of bone flutes or pipes. We don't know. So with that sort of inquisitive approach, we are trying both possibilities. Interestingly, if you put a reed in, then you've maybe only got 5 notes. But if you play it as a flute, I was blown away by the number of different pitches it can produce.
We are here in the cave of Geyserklösterle, and in this cave was found a fantastic music instrument. And here I will make a reproduction of the well-known flute of Geyserklösterle made of a radius of a swan. To cut the bone, I will use flint stones. Now I will cut the piece of birch bark to make the reed. I will cut it with a small knife made of flint. Flint is very, very sharp. Perhaps I take too much. Let's see. Oh, it could be good. To fix the birch bark, I will use sinews of legs of deers. These threads will be used for a lot of things, to sew the clothes, but also for fishing, to make nets. Now I'm fixing the birch bark on the chamfer of this proto-clarinet.
We can prove that we have musical instruments made from both bird bone and ivory, mammoth ivory. There's an enormous level of craftsmanship and musical engineering. You can see that most clearly in the case of the ivory flutes, right? To make an ivory flute is an enormous amount of work. The experiments show that it takes about 100 hours of hard work. And the reason is because mammoth ivory, as you can imagine, if you think about a mammoth, right, has the tusks are very large and have a spiral form. So first you have to rough out a piece, maybe about this long, make a tube, and then you have to split it open because you can't drill a hole through it because it's curved.
There was one break just going over the whole length of the piece. And there were several breaks that were in different parts, but this one break was going through the whole length, and it was interrupted with these notches. And so it was clear they have taken out a rod out of the ivory, and they have splitted this rod in two halves, and then they hollowed out these two halves. You could really see the markings, the traces of hollowing out the middle part, and then they refitted it together. And then they were probably binding these two halves together, or maybe they glued it together with any kind of glue that was available in this time, and then they produced the finger holes.
We know they were as creative as we are. The artworks are fabulous. We have beautifully carved figurines of horses, mammoths, lions, female figurines. The artistic capabilities of these people were fantastic.
Also the idea to really build a full instrument, not just to take something that is naturally more or less a flute, just to really build an instrument is totally different than what we have seen before from that time period.